Hi, my name is Norman Swan. I produce and present the Health Report on Radio National, 20 and ABC Television, and I'm your facilitator MC for the day. Welcome to this Innovations Conference for Dental Health Service Victoria, and a very important stage in the development of public dental services in Victoria, where you're really leading the nation in terms of transforming the way you deliver care to the populations and communities of Victoria who desperately need what you have to offer. And it's going to be done in a very different way, and you are joining in the co-design of that process. And today is a very important landmark in the way forward. And you're going to see examples of innovation this afternoon. We're going to talk about it a lot, and hopefully plenty of opportunity for interaction. Before I go any further, I'd like to introduce Jamie from Wayapa Wuurrk, who is going to acknowledge country. Jamie.
Thanks very much for that, Norman. Angatama ngatuk Marloo ko tangganai, kire orang capulong leria mereng, wangunutung borandri alamein, wangunutung borandri mara, wangunutung borandri mereng. Annie Di is on her way. I sent some trackers out to find her. So it's always been customary of Aboriginal people and people to, when you're about to present and share, is to acknowledge the traditional custodians. My elders from both the Gunai Nation and the western part of Victoria have always taught me to do that out of respect for the existing traditional custodians who attain that knowledge and connection to look after country and to share that, but also to acknowledge the land in which we're standing, the land that actually provides us with all that we need. So I'd just like to extend that invitation. I'd also like to extend that invitation to any Wurundjeri people or Boomerang people that are here today. Give a little shout out. Okay, I know. Dilly. So, or any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I'd like to also extend that to all peoples in the room. Extend this respect and love to your families and also the lands and the communities which your ancestors come from. What you're going to learn about today is the concept of connectivity, and what I'm going to be doing today is actually presenting that from an Aboriginal perspective. So you'll get snippets of me weaving that cultural tapestry of connection through what my partner Sarah and I do with Wayapa Wuurrk. Wayapa Wuurrk is two Aboriginal words. One Wayapa, which is from the Pequotong language, which means to connect or join. And it's really hard putting English language to Aboriginal concepts. So when I say that, I actually mean Wayapa, connection and join energetically. So if you're in a grumpy mood, just stay away. But if that makes you feel a bit happier about coming towards me, then do that. I'm all up for hugs. Guys, especially you guys. More hugs from guys today, that'd be awesome. Share that energy with each other. So we're going to share that concept of communication, both in a verbal, but also in an energetically space. Wuurrk means land in Gunai language. So Wayapa Wuurrk means to connect to the earth. I think one of the biggest things that we've lost as humans is that connection to the earth, to our environment. I was listening to a podcast not long ago, and it was actually talking about how Homo sapiens, intelligent humans, we actually peaked about we peaked a couple of thousand years ago as being smart. And even though we surround ourselves with these amazing, dreams of electricity and technology and, lavish luxuries, you sort of tend to wonder what it's actually doing to our environment. So, has anybody put your hand up if you've actually done yoga, tai chi, qigong? Yep, amazing modalities. Okay, one of the things that I'd learnt in the last couple of years was that there was a little tiny gap where, when I researched the true meaning of those modalities, the true essence of them, some of those messages have been lost in living those lifestyles. So what you're going to learn today is an Aboriginal perspective, my perspective as an Aboriginal person, of what it really truly means to be well and how we need to communicate that to each other. so that we share that concept of wellness, because the old saying, we are not an island. Australia isn't an island or a continent anymore because we are part of a global village. So it's about, Wayapa is about getting us to think about things both from a macro level but also from a micro level. So when you think about the concept of wellness, we always talk about the Holy Trinity: mind, body, and spirit. When I heard about that, I was like, yeah, that's good, but you're missing one part. Someone said, what's that? I said, earth, land, water, country. When we teach Wayapa to young children, we always ask, what are the 3 most important factors we need to survive and live? Food, water, and air. So Wayapa is based on thousands of years old of philosophies and connectivity practices. So we use Australian Aboriginal people, our mob, as the example of living within an environment for a long period of time, whether it's 40,000 years, whether it's 60,000 years, 100,000 years. When it gets to those numbers, they start to become irrelevant unless you're having a competition. And scientists love that. Look what I found, this oldest toe bone. It's 80,000 years old. But for us, it's about acknowledging that why were Aboriginal people one of the oldest continuing living cultures? It's a bit rhetorical. Because they looked after the very environment that sustained them. So the question today in a modern context, are we doing that? Are we really looking after the planet today? Are we really connected as people today? Some of the greatest marketers and think tanks and promoters of products talk about connectivity. Buy this and you'll be connected. But you think about the disconnection that comes with that connection. So I'd really, unless you've got important business calls to make today or family calls, or if you've got horse racing in Racery at Ramwick, don't get on your phones. Try and make that human connection. Try and make that energetic connection with somebody you don't know. Like I said, predominantly I'm a total stranger to everybody. Come and say good day. I think there's 503 of you. That'd be great. So Wayapa, today what we're going to do is actually talk about the concepts of connectivity and communication. And I'm not going to sit here and preach to you about all the ways we communicate, but one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do throughout the fabrication of today, I'm making up words now of what I'm trying to say. Throughout the course of the day is we're going to weave through the fabrication of the day, the tapestry of think about you. I'm an Aboriginal person, there's probably other Aboriginal people here. Doesn't matter who you are. We are all humans on this planet. Wayapa is about how we can all come together to effectively communicate and redevelop that relationship with the earth. There's 2 things that I've been discussing throughout the last week and a half with people doing interviews and podcasts and things like that. One is that we talk about this concept that we actually have a interrelationship with the earth, an interdependency with the earth. The earth and us are interdependent. That isn't true. We need the earth. We need the planet. It doesn't need us. So straight away you remove ego from that. The other one is the concept that we as humans will destroy the planet. That's not true. We'll make the planet unwell, but ultimately we'll actually make ourselves non-existent as humans, as humanity. We'll wipe ourselves out before we wipe out the earth. So once we start to think about that and go, oh, you start to remove ego from that and start thinking about, as a race, as a species, what is my purpose? So we'll talk about that today. Aboriginal people connected to the earth because they knew that that sustained them. But the most important thing was that they shared that with the next generation about that responsibility, about the cycles that are happening, about the resources, the seasons, take only what you need, save some for later, share that much when you've got it to share. So Wayapa is about looking at us as now as a global village. Maintain your culture, maintain your identity, maintain your language, that's really important. But at the end of the day, your ancestors have been living on this planet as long as mine, from the very start. And it's really important we start having this conversation. So Wayapa joins earth mindfulness, connectivity with ourselves, with each other, but for the planet. So I want you to start thinking about those concepts today. Because if we don't, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't start thinking about 10 generations ahead and what are we leaving, because we all sit in here as descendants of 10 generations from the past. Put your hand up if you can name your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother. Probably in time, well, now we've got Ancestry.com. In 10 generations to come, I would like to think that someone will say, my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother sat in a room and there was this crazy Aborigine up there talking about saving the environment for me to live in the future. Because if we don't get it right, there'll be cockroaches driving around in our Ferraris going, they had their chance. They had their chance. And we don't, well, not that we don't want that. Okay, but I'm not quite sure. They might have sketchy road rules, cockroaches. When I see them run around the kitchen, I don't want to drive them like that out on the roads with me there. So thank you very much. I'm going to be coming in and out of the day. So if you see me throughout the break, when you hear my lovely melodic singing out there, someone made me break out into an Elvis song. Sorry about that. It's pretty bad. But when you hear me singing, to come back into the room, if we could do so reasonably promptly, because we've got some amazing speakers here and the program looks fantastic. So I'll hand you back over to Norman and have a great day, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jamie. Just a couple of housekeeping things. One main one is that your badges have significance. And it's important that you leave your badges with the registration desk when you go, and that will be a proxy for the fact that you may or may not have been here at some point, unless, of course, you let somebody else leave your badge for you. But leaving your badge is an important thing to do. Also saves the environment and the planet, although, according to Jamie, the planet will do fine, but it might be doing fine just without us. If you want to share your thoughts, quite an important part of that networking, although it will require you putting up your phone, which, as Jamie's told you not to do, is hashtag POHIC18 on your social media posts to share the thoughts. The Minister couldn't be with us today, but Minister Hennessy has sent us a video message, which we'll play now.